Hey everybody, this is JC, or Gen X Arcana, with Show Us Your Crits. So this is kind of the inaugural show where I'm going to go ahead and run a game. We're here in Newington, Connecticut at the Tabletop shop. It is free RPG day. I am right now getting ready to prepare to run Dungeon Crawl Classics by Goodman Games. Also included with that is going to be my own DCC supplement, Tales from the Fallen Empire. And today at the end of this session, someone's going to walk away with a nice DCC bag filled with a hard copy, or actually a hardcover copy, of Tales from the Fallen Empire and some DCC swag. So anyway, that's all I need to say right now. Let's get to game.
Oh God, where do I end up?
All right.
All right, is high good? Is low good?
It was a 10. What does it mean?
What does it mean? I'm full of uncertainty. Correct.
So what we're going to be running today is Dungeon Crawl Classics. It is a derivative of kind of cross between like old school D&D and 3.5 and Rollmaster to some degree. There's lots of charts.
Can we die in character creation?
No. There is a funnel though that sometimes when you start off with 0 level characters, you just create a bunch of them and eventually one of them dies. But if you've played anything like old D&D, if you played AD&D or 3.5, 50, 5e, the mechanics are pretty much the same, but there are a couple points I will bring up. The setting we're doing is Tales from the Fallen Empire. It is a book that I wrote. It is a supplement for Dungeon Crawl Classics, and I actually have another hardcover copy of this to give away at the end of this session, so we'll do some sort of dice rolling or some sort of such like that.
Conan style fighting the
James,
death.
you should mention you'll sign the copy and I can sign it too.
Yeah. Did I? I don't know if I had you sign this copy. Maybe that's what I do today.
I can
I'll
also
do
sign it. I wasn't involved, but
Let's just all sign it.
Yeah, let's all sign it. It's like a yearbook.
Yeah.
So it uses.
See you next year.
It uses
Way to
straight
die, noob.
It uses your standard dice set, 4 through 20. However, there is something they refer to as the funky dice. Funky dice are D3, D5, D7, so basically every odd number die. That's pretty much all the way up to D24. These are used in some cases, not all. I will put a set out here because this is not something most gamers usually carry with them. And the game master of a DCC game is referred to as judge, except I don't actually have a badgy thing. And I have these neat little things called DCC kills. So as you start dying off, at least you get to walk away with a nice little ribbon. So
Congratulations, you got kids.
it's beautiful. Deaths are beautiful. So Tales of the Fallen Empire does have kind of a Conan feel to it. It's hey, well, we're doing Conan by proxy, Tim.
You should have mentioned that first, and everybody from there would have came over here.
It's set in kind of a desolate sword and sorcery world, where some parts of the world were pretty much destroyed by magic. There were sorcerer kings who initially ruled during the First Age, and then were similarly killed by peasants in an uprising, but the sorcerer kings are returning. Heroes are definitely the grim and the gritty types. We're not talking about elves and dwarves and stuff like that. The closest things to non-humans are a race that call themselves the Oruk, which are sentient gorillas, and the other are the Draki, which are sentient, basically velociraptors. But for this session, we will not be will not appear in this film.
So we're basically in like modern day New Mexico.
Yeah, Arizona, actually, right outside
okay.
Flagstaff.
Oh, okay.
There's a sorcerer king there, I think.
Yeah.
You know. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go over the characters, explain what the classes are, because they do differ from Dungeon Crawl Classics, and everyone just kind of see what they're interested in. I also put male and female names on them, so if you feel this character is gender female, then definitely go with the female name. If not, take the male. So first we have what's called a Sentinel. The Sentinel is actually my favorite class. One of my favorite fantasy movies is one called The Warrior and the Sorceress with David Carradine, and this class was based after it. So think of a holy warrior who got sent out into the wasteland to basically do missions. So maybe kind of like a sword and sorcery Mormon of some sort. And they go out, they they go from town to town trying to right wrongs. Except unlike paladins, they actually are backstabby and murdery and stealthy. So it's kind of a cross between. Someone put a ninja and a paladin. So that is the Sentinel. The next one is Barbarian. This is your classic Conan type, big, strong type. As far as there are races to various regional things to this. So, for example, this character here is more from like the Celtic-y lands. So our barbarian here is from an area called Kazakhstan, which are the Mongolians. So just think big, burly Asians with long mustaches.
Damn Mongolians.
They'll come after your wall.
My shitty wall.
This we have our Aruk, our warrior, our big giant talking gorilla. They both share gender names, so this one is Skarmok. It's just, I guess, the way you say it. If you say it, you know, girly, it's different. Our sorcerer is from the basically the China analog, Asian. But our sorcerers are kind of cool because they're a little bit more stronger than your standard wizard. However, they constantly have a monkey on their back, which is a demon. So as we're in DCC, the mage can actually choose not to bring a demon. The sorcerer has to. So there's always a patron demon that gets very angry and upset and will do nasty things if you misrepresent. Last two, we have a witch. So there are no clerics in this setting. Witches are the closest thing. They their magic is based on the moon, and it's based on 11 other factors, but they're great at making potions on the spot. Their magic is a combination of wizard and cleric, and they can heal, but depending on the phase of the moon, not very effectively. So. And last is a character class that I am publishing for the second revised version of this book. And it's one that I wrote out and can't particularly pronounce. Valkajur. So the Valkajur are basically going to, there's an area of people called the Asir who live in the north, so think Vikings, Scandinavians. At one point, the women, shield warriors or shield maidens, got into longboats and left because they were kind of done with it. They traveled down the coast to Njambi, which is kind of the Africa analog, and stood there and created a society of women. So over the many hundreds of years, they've developed into this very feminist society that Amazons basically. They hate men. They capture them in the jungles. They sell them as slaves. Some of them do leave their homeland. Not to say that anyone who plays this character has to go around and male bash, but they're definitely more of the kind of, I'll do it sort of type. So go ahead. Those are the characters.
Which one's the witch?
All right. So all of you are mercenaries, as usually the reason people band up in this particular world. Mercs make a lot of money, especially mercenaries that tend to have people from various portions of the world. Just because of the fact that you can speak different languages, you start getting reputations. Obviously, you go into towns and people will just usually bring you on to do stuff. The world while it has calmed down since the first age, the second age is still pretty much the new Sorcerer King's rising. They're uncovering a lot of stuff from the first age. So people getting their hands on what they refer to as artifacts and things of power that people misuse. Some of them form new kingdoms. Warlords take them and do stuff. So your job is pretty much just taking down warlords, disrupting rogue kingdoms and things like that. So it's kind of the life of a mercenary. Lots of reward, lots of treasure, lots of
Danger and fun.
yeah, danger and fun. All right, so actually your travels right now bring you to the north, the lands of the Aesir. And there's a map in here somewhere. Actually, I will go ahead and pull out a map here in a second. Yeah, it's a very small map, but so the lands of the Aesir Essir are up in here. There's Schwartheim, Tier Domain, which is more the Celtic realms. And then you have basically over in here Untermeer and a bunch. But this is kind of the Scandinavia of this world. Very cold, very iced over, still very barbaric culture. Most of them follow animal totems, so they do have some resemblance of society. However, they're still warring clans against each other and so on and so forth.